Do you have a car? Do we all have a car?
We landed here. One more.
Oh yeah, they're shooting me.
On this western edge.
Loving seeing the smiles here out of Duxan. Obviously,
Let's go to
I mean, even
Corey.
Klaris was smiling and rooting to get all
Hussein,
the
thank you
South
for the
Korean memorabilia out
45,
to start rooting
appreciate it.
for our new
Thank you.
overlords, potentially in the lobby.
Have a wonderful
But they still
day.
have
And
a while to
Dylan,
go
thank
here
you
to
for the
claim that
continued love and
title.
support.
Klaris. But we saw
13
D+
months.
go
Guess
out,
who's
maybe
back?
trying to
Back
redeem
again.
them here
PG's
as their,
back, and
brother
you
team
know
of
it.
Duxan. My question is,
And
who is it going
13
to be next?
months.
Obviously,
Guess
South
who's
Fighters.
back? Back
And
again.
PG's
Thank
back.
you
Them
for
and
the
the
love and
Duxan
support
would
as
be-
well.
My question is,
And
who's it
from
going to be
you,
next? Obviously,
South
South
Fighters.
Fighters.
Thank you.
Inko. Every
Are we
team you
all
want
on our
top
way to
5
Corey?
means there's another team who can't make top 5. Like, for instance, right now,
Yeah.
Influence Rage.
Okay, good.
I think we're gonna have some big upsets here. The influence rate, it is so weird. We haven't seen a replica of what we had in the survival stage, if that makes any sense. Because right now they
I made it difficult earlier with what I said. Trust me,
No
I
one
messed
here
that up
yet?
bad.
Wow, what? Come
But
on.
they were just so good on the elimination front, right? And I think that it's not off the back of them performing worse, which in a way they are. But it's just teams have improved significantly at the bottom. That now points are so much tougher to get here, Jason. So influence, they need to go
It's not a
even
buggy.
harder in this next game.
We're going to find out. We're going to throw it back to our casters to hop into our third game of the day. Jackie and Blank, take it away.
If they're going to do it, we need to see them like fully wizarding up right now, Blank. I want Influence Rage going full Hulk, you know. They've got to let out the rage, not keep it in. I want it everywhere. Rage all over the shop.
Yeah, I need a full pyro blast coming out
Yes.
from the guys in Influence Rage here. I need them to absolutely destroy the competition if they want to make their way up to there. And
I'm gonna activate
honestly,
the other
have
one.
3 Brazilian teams get in towards that PMGC Grand Finals would be crazy for the region overall. I'd love to see it, but right now it's all about these bottom teams. For some reason, it's always day 2. They start showing up. They're like, we're running out of time. Suddenly the pressure's on. And some of the other squads like Udo Alliance, they keep it chill. They're yawning. They're relaxed. They're just vibing it out at the moment. I think we are going to have a little bit of a rehost coming through. So we'll get the game ready for you as soon as possible. But Duxan, man, that was wild.
No, it really was, man. It is sick to see. Anhasayo to the Korean viewership out there because this team is doing you proud today. And it's sick, man.
Let's try to
It's kind of
collect
what we were
some money
hoping for,
too.
you know. Remember, Blank, there was the storyline that we were really excited about that was the fact that it looked like we were going to have 2 South Korean teams make it through even into this stage, right? With D+ also playing a blinder. Basically being guaranteed we would have seen them until FaZe did FaZe shenanigans and ruined their dreams, went off on a huge stomp to guarantee their ticket to be here. So some real big storylines there, and it's more just the gun skill, the way that they're doing it, looking very impressive on that game. Is it sustainable though? I would like to see it, Blank. I would love to see them really going on an absolute tear now and linking some games back to back and showing that it's not a fluke, you know, because during regulation as well, they were a good side. They were a team that was pretty impressive. So the fact that they looked a little bit shaky mechanically and now they're making a run for their money, I'm glad. I just hope it's one of those stories that keeps on going. You know, it isn't like we read one chapter and then the rest of the book has been ripped out.
Or just really bad in general, and you're like, where's chapter 1 gone? Chapter 2 sucks. But the thing is, for Duxan, right, they started off in their group stage really strong, right? They were up towards the top side of the lobby. Then they fell off, and they had kind of a little bit of a sprint, and then it was over. So we do have sort of a coin flip situation where this isn't a lot of games left, right? You've got technically 4 in the bag, 3 considering the next ones after this. But for Duxan, is this going to be a case where they sprint out for 4 matches, or do they just go back to being rinsed by the rest of the lobby? Because quite frankly, they have been, honestly. So for even in survival stage, they didn't look amazing. They got through, yes. In last chance, they looked really, really bad yesterday. And I think that's fair to say, right? But that last game does show that they are a really strong team because it takes a very strong team to finish out a game with 19 eliminations and the chicken dinner off the back of it. Yes, they got a little bit lucky with that circle shift. Unfortunate where the circle was, where they have full high ground and it's practically only open ground underneath them. But you still close out the game with a strong amount of eliminations with some great third parties going on earlier. I don't know if it can be kept up. We'll have to wait for this next game to see it actually happen. FaZe, on the other hand, up to 69 points. Nice. But again, some of these games have been a little bit weird. It's better than we've seen from in the past, though, getting some points. But yeah, I'm curious to see what goes down, because again, it's just a lot of these bottom squads that are starting to push their numbers, where 5th place becomes terrifying at the moment, because 55 points down to 12th place at 40 points. That's one good game, not even a chicken dinner. One good game with some strong eliminations, you're in.
I guess, you know, that's the bit that makes it kind of harder to call as well, is because with this format, where it is only top 5, normally one of the kind of things we look at is point vacuum teams that are having huge gains and sucking up all the points, you know, guaranteeing themselves that they're towards the top set. Whereas with it being such a small number of you, if the top end teams are guaranteeing, you know, spots 1 through 2, spots 1 through 3 are basically out of reach, it's the fact that we do have a whole lobby constantly cycling just over the, you know, the potential idea of 2 spots, Blank. 2 spots that are a thimble of points apart from each another. It's really, really crazy the way these games have been going and the fact they've been delivering in this manner. I think storyline-wise, we've done really well. Like the script writers behind the scene, 10 out of 10. It's been a banger for the way some of these games have been going. I guess at this point, it's in their hands. We'll see. Ducksound, though, look at the energy. Already, this makes me think that there is more to be said. You saw the celebration, the relief, the way that they kind of did come back to reality after winning that previous game. Now they're screaming, now they're yelling, they're looking like they're hyped up, Blank. That's what I want. That's how you know this South Korean side is going to absolutely give it. And we are back on Erangel. Another game, another chance for points, but less and less opportunity for the squads that are down the bottom. They've all been showing up. They've all been putting up some big numbers, Blank, but they have to go above and beyond now as we get back into it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The mental game is absolutely huge over towards these matches. And for Ducksan, getting a big win like that can be the type of adrenaline that you need injected into the system to get more on board. We'll wait and see, though, as we head over towards our second angle of the day here. I'm excited to see what pans out. Malpo's already out. Team Queso down towards Corey and IHC, flitting up towards Hospital. Obviously, that last game didn't go too hot for IHC, going out really, really early on a rotate where they just could not handle the guns coming through from BTR, where they were just swinging left, right, and center, taking teams out wherever they could. They got some decent eliminations off the back of that game. Didn't get too much further into it, but regardless, for BTR, not a bad match in terms of displaying of potential in this one. But a very fair playing path to start things off here. I think most teams pretty pleased with this one. We'll see if we get any hot drops, but I think most teams have put the idea of hot drops behind them. Not willing to go for those risks early on, potentially lose your chance at a big point scoring game. Well, you desperately need it on this last day.
Oh, you do indeed. You need some big games. You need them to happen back to back. That's what it's all about here, as little mistakes will add up. They will cost you gravely the longer things go on. Nice touchdown in the blue here. Dip the toes, splash some water on your face, and get yourself nice and woken up for Inco as they grab themselves a boat for the rotate and focus on the future. Rook scouting this one out as well, as Eugene's there. He was a little bit closer. Maybe there would have been an opportunity to potentially try and take some shots into him. With the range here, I don't know if he's going to get a lucky day on this one.
Yeah, maybe not, but blowing up the bow, somewhat of a bigger potential on this one. With the amount of bullets in the magazine, might have been something available for this. Pulls out the M16 to try and get it done afterwards. Neos, Brute Force seems to be suffering time and time again to influence Rage. A bit of a rivalry between these two squads as Brute Force constantly harries them. This time around didn't go so hot. Rook, though, traveling in the water alongside the guys from Inco, looking to take them down. They've all jumped out the boat here, deciding it's not worth it. Technically, Rook could get in the boat of their own, hunt them down. Doubt that's going to happen, though. Farouk rather just send it away. This is a team that's doing extremely well at holding those central positions, but recently just not been able to find those spots, getting taken out here and there, losing members, hemorrhaging. It's been feeling fairly bad for this team, and I think we had high hopes for them yesterday.
Yeah, we did. I think that it's one of those where, from what we'd seen in the past, you know, we knew they did have a lot of stock to them and that they could really put up some big benchmarks when they were playing as a well-oiled machine, when everyone was able to perform to the best of their ability, really. But there's been gaps, there's been some small mistakes, and those add up. Those will cost you. So it's a shame. It's a shame. But you never know, man. There's always opportunity. There's always still room to breathe. It's just the fact that if you are going to have a complete facelift, had to happen about a game ago, really, for some of these squads. So always down to the wire. Julo here might be given a bit of a gift, though, as there is some aquatic Inco gamers on the way. He's on the dry dock looking out, trying to see if he can spot anyone here as he does a bit of looting. This is sort of like being down at the Loch Ness towards, you know, a late evening blank, and all of a sudden you see a bit of a monster pop out of the water. That was the Loch Ness monster for a second there. There it is.
I mean, honestly, for Inco, this is a bit of a bad time. You can see Vitali here. He's got nothing. No vest, no helmet, no weaponry. Just waiting for Reject to leave to hope that they can get a little bit of loot on. Duello maybe spots out some players here, potentially. Oh, he's missed it. He had a gander, but immediately they went underwater, submerged, like submarines. Duello has no clue.
See, this is how it goes, Blank. You know, that's literally the case. You're always a stone's throw away from potentially seeing something mythical. But he's missed it. The Loch Ness monster submerges its head. He drives away. That was the chance, Blank. He could have proven it to be a real animal there. Found the dinosaur still alive in modern days. Instead, he's given them timing to get up on dry land. And they can do a bit of looting now. Whereas previously, like you said, they had nothing to their name. So that would have been the entire Inco squad, you know, basically thrown into a blender in a matter of minutes there from Reject. But no, they will pass each other like ships in the night. They're allowed to move on to land. And their troubles, for now, at least, past them.
Sort of funny, the fact that Duello came through, picked that entire dock clean as well. So really not much available for that squad in Inco. I think the difficulty comes in for Reject later on, the fact that they have no clue that Inco is behind them. That's the type of thing that will really grind your gears later on, where suddenly you're getting backstabbed by a team and you have no clue how they're here this early. BTR also moving through. Inco, everyone stops, freezes, doesn't move a muscle. This is all about just pretending to be mannequins here, still as a statue, to evade detection.
Does a good job. Isn't going to be given a 50p coin for his troubles as a silver statue, but he will stay alive, and sometimes that's worth more. As BTR will bypass him and start to drive on into the zone, making their move. They're relatively hot on the tail of Reject as well, that have just pulled up just beneath Pachinki as they get into the area. Influence Rage are also coming on down as well, so they might run into each other. We'll see how that goes on a pathing, if they come across one another on their move. Duxan, meanwhile, how have things been going for them? Looks like you've basically been running a bit of a 2-2 setup in the way that they've been playing it. So 2 down towards more so Ferry Pierce side. The others on a hill. Here they are now as Zipan is going to be pushed. They look to just swoop in. I mean, you've outnumbered him. Man does at least dodge the first bit, Blank, but hits the vehicle. He's gone, squished under the tires. And this isn't looking great at all. I mean, for Duxan, really, now you're kind of fragmented into 3 players. One of them's miles away as well. And you're already just eating bullets. So this actually could be really rough for them here if they wanted a good start into this game.
Yeah, and you're just allowing Reject into a strong position here on Cat Hill now, where they can just hold this one out. And for Reject, that's just very free positioning given up to them early on in the game, which is massively good for them. the other hand of things, Western side circle once again will favor over towards FaZe. We know they like to play his position in that central side. Probably another game where they'll grab some placement points, maybe a few more eliminations. They haven't been getting too far towards the end of these games, but with their points balance being the way it is, their bank account is looking stacked and fresh here, up towards 69 points at the top side of the lobby. In comes a couple of players over towards FaZe to try and challenge them in Gaka itself, and it will be Influence Rage sent away almost immediately. Kayofsky here takes a fair bit of damage. Mela similarly in a bad situation. He's out of the way and he needs to get back towards the rest of the team ASAP.
Mela tries to get the meds off, and he's giving himself some more health to play with. Some smokes go down to shroud him as well, as he's back on the move and can regroup, have a little bit of cover to play with inside of the buildings, and that's what they need, as these compounds could be fought for relatively quickly. Just looking at the way the teams are starting to barrel down now closer. Mad Bulls are going to cruise on by. It looked like maybe they were sizing them up and wanting to slide on in for this one, but instead they focus on their own game and will go driving along. Mela completely healthy now, so at least crisis has been averted for FaZe. FaZe that are going to want to have a good game here. Only 9 points away from being lapped by Evos. So picking up a big one is going to be the mindset they're looking at. Gladiators, always the punching bag in the early game, it feels like, in a lot of these lobbies. And Godless has been someone that's taken such an aggressive level of gameplay, Blank. He's been roaming constantly. It feels like him and Alex have basically had the free reign on this team to just say, we want to fight here, we want to push this, and just roam with it. And honestly, they back up their bark with their bite pretty regularly. Like, they have had some huge plays in terms of their gun skill. So IHC always a sleeper. It's mad as well how, you know, you're kind of locked in 7th place at this point, even with the sheer amount of eliminations they've been getting each game. Feels like they're always good for the elims, but never quite the bride, right? Never quite the team that's taking those chicken dinners, and that's what's been holding them back.
Yeah, they're a very aggressive, like, go big or go home team, right, at the end of the day. So if they do start getting those eliminations on board, they can barrel through a lot of squads and get to that end game, fine. Yeah, they'll get themselves a huge match. But I do think they expend a lot of that utility, a lot of that firepower early on in the match, end up losing players, and then realistically, the chicken dinner looks like a pipe dream to them. So there is a possibility for IHC to get into the grand finals off elimination points alone here. If that's the vibe they want to go for, hunt down some of these easier teams to take down. I think they identify the Gladiators is certainly one of them, as are the guys over on Inco. In the meantime, we've got Gladiators who sent up towards Everest, but that's not before Procedure Evos gets towards the northeastern edge of it, looking to maybe challenge them out for that high ground early in the game here. Procedure Evos, really good, consistent team so far. Haven't had to talk about them too much, because considering they don't make a huge amount of mistakes too often. I think the biggest one we've seen so far was that push over towards Mad Bulls earlier on today on Sandhawk. But other than that, they've been really clean cut. I mean, Redface, Misery, everyone on that team seems to be stepping up in a massive way for that squad. So it's very, very nice to see it. I do think that Procedure Evos, I would expect them to be in the top 5 by the end of the day, just with the play we've seen from this Indonesian squad.
I think for the fans as well, Blank, that's one that, you know, people would want to see, right? The name value, the storylines, the history on the players and the team overall, it would just be so much for them. So I think to see them continue with success after success, it would be great. And, you know, they're doing it themselves, right? This is you really sort of taking any pressure off yourself and just playing with that level the other teams now can't compete with you. So for Evos, it really has just been them changing the game and looking a lot better individually rather than other squads slowing down, falling off. Unfortunately for Reject, that seems to be something that's happening quite consistently, as they have been letting it slip, have been losing their grip on a potential for any sort of comeback into the overall standings. OCO at least going to try his best here as he gets contact back over onto Mad Bulls. But you're so fragmented again. Mad Bulls, what can they do? They've been having a bad day of it. Feels like they've been really unlucky in a lot of the early drops throughout the survival stage and the last chance stage. It's kind of hit them with the unlucky stick. Not looking as quick to the draw as we saw as well in some of the games from survival stage here. It's felt like last chance has been a lot harder for them to really spread their wings at all. I suppose, you know, that's the issue with being a bull, Blank. You don't normally have wings. More just legs and a little tail.
Yeah, depends how quickly you can wag the tail, though. At the end of the day, you know, go for
Just
a little bit of
thrust.
speed spin, you know, on that bad boy, and that's what Mad Balls need, really. At the end of the day, it is the speed spin to get themselves back up into action. I mean, it does feel more and more likely now for these teams in 12th, 13th, 14th place with what we've seen from Duxan, the game they had. It seems that nothing is off the table here in the Last Chance, but it's also another Last Chance classic in the sense that we do get pretty much the same circle we saw from last match there on our angle over towards the south side of Gatka. So DX, they won their last game from this position, but being down to just 3 members does hurt their chances in a big way. Cluck from Udo Alliance will take down Lepar on the knock, and likely to be a flush here too. So BTR, think they've been losing quite a few players on their rotates in a few times. Still set steady towards that top 3. Brute Force attempts to take it to task with IHC, but probably the worst team to run into. The most terrifying team with a big set of fangs on them.
Oh, yeah. Strong jaw strength, and they bite down hard, clamping their way through that one for free. Gladiators, meanwhile, locked into the clash versus the Milo crew, the big man that doesn't muck about. Gladiators already starting to double back somewhat and use the utility instead rather than breaching into the building, running the risk of getting knocked. Ooh, quick info play on the vehicle. They spot out Tixie, know where he's assaulting from now. He's got nades. A couple of them at least, 2 to be precise, with some smokes for the getaway and the Molotovs in the pockets, deeply lined. But he's just playing a bit safer, just on the ridge now, rather than re-instigating this fight. Gladiators, at least still alive and kicking, but just a little bit more broken up in terms of the positioning. Enigma Galaxy further back as well. Do you have the potential to hold on exit? So if one of these 2 sides limps away from this, maybe then they could go in to steal away a few points from it. Widespread from Gladiators as well. Meku backing up Kitsune with 2 of the vehicles over this side. The entirety of the team just trapped inside the compound. Peek up from Papi Potro. Sees the head of Tixie, but isn't going to be able to hit that one just yet.
Yeah, I think just needs to be a bit more of a distraction here as Tixie, whilst the rest of the team gets levied up inside the vehicles, getting ready to go. Reject takes down a nade over towards Coops there as they crash onto their compound on the western side. This is basically the same circle, it seems to be. Ralph is able to reconnect there onto Regioso with a nade of his own, which keeps them in contention for a little while, but a lot of fights popping off around the map as teams need to make quick rotations through a lot of this circle to get into position. It's Influence Rage versus the squad of IHC, 2 really strong fragging teams. Alex has got a nade in his hand, pops it over the top over towards the 2 players there. We'll try and find a little bit of damage on it, but it's all popping off around the map. Udo Alliance still hitting hard on this eastern side. Again, another team to make it far into that last match versus Duxan, who did get the last laugh at the end of the day. But there's so much popping off around the map. It's hard to keep track of it all. Gladiators move up towards Rook's position. So far, doing a fairly decent job in terms of taking names and doing damage.
How far can this chaos continue in their favor, though? Bursting some of the bullets down. Big Milo will get one off with the DMR onto Meku. Oh, this is really changing tide quite quickly now as Gladiators, all of them, are falling over in the arena. It seems like they're not going to be entertained with these plays as Big Milo will banish them on the DMR. The Mini 14 causing problems. Papi dropping down to the Gladiators' lower levels. Kitsune lurking around the corner. Punches back. Gets the uppercut off with the big old shotty and can then start to advance as well. I mean, Big Milo's on top of him. He's got that EMP in hand. Oh, spots him on the back. Few bullets, top down. Hurts him there as those will connect onto the hitbox and finish off the Gladiators as they go out in 15th place again.
Yeah, it's just the type of thing where Gladiators look to try and take down Rook in the process, but I think knowing exactly where Gladiators went for Team Queso, they were just very happy to follow close behind. As soon as they start here the fighting, they can just send in. It was such an open area to take down the squad from Gladiators. Easy pickings for them, so Team Queso gets themselves some free points, likely to take down the rest of Rook unless they're able to hold them off, but they're on the outside edge of the circle, so I do think likely for Team Queso to get big further into this game here. Influence Rage down to 1 player in Federal as Duxan starts to unleash bullets their way.
Duxan Had a wild game previously. Here it's the nades that deal damage onto Influence Rage as they get blown away. Hopes and dreams of them going off on an absolute tear starting to get slimmer and slimmer. FaZe, meanwhile, starting to close the gap here. Go for the close range assault onto the knocked player. The bonnet, the steel hits the face of Eugene as Mela will mow the man down. Do a bit of quick looting on the get-go as well. Tuxan, meanwhile, still holding the ground that they've taken here after finding that pickup for free onto Influence Rage. Inco were quite close by. They were only a stone's throw away, with BTR drawing most of their attention there. IHC, though, going down now as they're gone again. 3 Illims is all that they're able to snatch from this one. Pusher with a nade right on his nose. And they've got high ground to peek off on this one. Mormon should be able to swing into it, and everyone's just gunning for him blank. They just swing down on him, and Pusher goes away quickly.
Yeah, Rook out again. This is just a sad state of affairs now for Rook Esports. I think they had a great chance to get towards that top 5 with some interesting central play from them, but today it's just been weakened game after weakened game. Team Queso attempts to get out of there. This is pretty much the same approach we had on our last game from Team Queso as well as FaZe holding on to this position. The only other caveat was that Mad Bulls were central between both of them and got pincered. They decide that they're not going to go for that same fate once again. They head up towards that northern edge. So this is just going to be full-on brawl. And once again, it is Duxan with some formidable little third parties from that eastern side. It's just an amusing game. And I think the most amusing thing for me again is from last year's last chance. It was a case of Inco getting into the PMGC Grand Finals from sitting in compounds. Once again, they're sat in a compound. It's dead central. They're going to get another good game after this, Jackie.
They're doing it, man. They're starting to make it happen. Big plays. Big money potentially on the line for them. FaZe, though, ooh, they've had some moments to be remembered in these games so far. Juni, though, doesn't want to allow them to cause any more carnage here. Spraying over the top of the hill. Bullets barely landing in the dirt. Oh, just slightly off target here for the reconnection on the face from Mormon. He gets his belly down in the dirt and tries to play for survivability. Looks for the longevity on this one. Juni has been knocked as well. And this is looking a little bit iffy. Mormon backing off. Mela, meanwhile, being brought back into the fight as well. Nade's detonating close on the hill. It seems like Juni's actually still standing as well. 40 taking a hefty hit on that one. So at least you've still got good manpower to play with. Or Binny on the close range connection, peppering them. They're so low. That'll be Onzen's going down. And FaZe might want to back off from this. They don't want to hard commit to this fight now after losing so much on the investment. But Mormon has no choice, Blank. He's trapped behind the tree.
You has to sit back here. And to be honest with you, I love the positioning from Binny, and I realized that Kusha forcing FaZe into the sight lines coming through from Binny in this endgame. It was a really good setup considering they've only got 3 players, and playing that one out the way it was, this is likely going to be more of a 2-2 split. In flies the approach here, won't find anything. Quick flush on this one likely to be seen here, and Duxan is racking up points slowly, but surely, yes.
Duxan. How far can they go? What can they do for us? Is this going to be a historic comeback? Will they be breaking themselves into the top 5 over the course of the day here? That's what they're gunning for. At the minute, they're also gunning to take down Fate. That's where their focus is. And QX blows away Mormon. FaZe are gone. Number 1 squad in the lobby right now, removed. When we look at this fight here, Mad Bulls being clashed down upon. Enigma Galaxy fighting an uphill battle, literally, with the nades, casting those over the top and looking to see if they can engage. Fleek still got the confidence to take fights elsewhere as he puts his attention on DX, playing on the top of the hill. So a lot of potential angles that you're going to be exposed from. A lot of open ground here for the Mad Bulls, but at least they can block off a few of those lines of sight. They've got geometry with the compounds they're playing with. Enigma Galaxy just trying to apply pressure where it's possible, using so much defensive utility as well. Smoke after smoke to give themselves at least a bit of a break in the line of sight.
Yeah, Mad Bulls up to go for a bit of a northern rotation here. That's DX on that north side. We know that their angle kings here on this map, but it's Mad Balls to take the fight to them. They move up really quickly, and just as they head up, DX gets in their vehicles. Pretty horrid timing for them. You got Lamborghini on the top side, able to toss in a grenade, but doesn't get a huge amount of damage done there. But DX, they're all over the place. They take an initial knock, and Mad Balls might have just been able to time this one just right.
Have they? Can they play it off correctly? Nades over the top are doing a good job of instigating the fight. How does it go from here? Slowing down the push now with the smokes up. Quick heal. Keep themselves topped up. Evos in the back line. They want to see if there's a way that they can make a steal on this. They jump in the vehicle.
Levi's.
They group up. They give themselves so much space, Blank. It does not work. DX strike on it. And Levi's with a brute force play. So much damage dealt. He goes in to close it. He goes in to shut it down. Gets peppered into the back. Doesn't fancy his chances. Has to bail out the vehicle. Wants to look for the flank. The Molotov thrown over the top, guns firing all around, taking damage. He focuses back onto Evos as well, knows about Luxy, has to drop down on the deck, Blank. He's low on HP now.
Mate, the fact that he gets a triple spray down over towards Mad Balls is an unbelievable victory from them. In the meantime, Nigma Galaxy assaults over towards Inko's position. Actually gets a lot done here off the back of it. Just 2 players left alive alongside with BTR's push in the meantime. Mad Balls will lose all 3 members that got knocked by Levi's in a heroic play on the northern edge. But it's BTR to make their way in, and Inko's defense was absolutely pitiful in this location. Luckily, gets himself a knock with the nade, keeps BTR at bay for now.
And for now might be the key word, because BTR, they don't go down easy. Squash. Is he looking for the finish off? Wants to bounce the nade round the corner and hope that it's directly on target. That one's going to detonate but not take them down to the depths. Nigma Galaxy still alive as well. They've got themselves a compound to play with now as they hustle and bustle. Looking into the distance and having a read. They are basically in the center here and have a fair few squads all around them. One of them starting to push back up now. That'll be Duxan that are just waiting on the hillside. Look how close the grouping is. It's disgusting watching it like this. Inko upstairs just sat on top of the other team, waiting for an opportunity here, really. Well, potentially even a mistake. That's probably the more key way to put it. DX get pounced upon. Nigma hit 1, and the first man falls over.
DX get a little bit of luck here. Circle moves their way, gives them the hilltop. Able to play this one out for a little bit longer. Duxan opts to head down towards the fielded area around the shack. They might be able to swing towards that eastern side, but all focus over towards this compound between Nigma Galaxy, BTR, and Inko, all within one position. Mad Balls also trying to live this one out as long as possible, accrue the placement points. Income BTR trying to locate the final players. Mad Balls is out. 1 player remaining from Inko on the top side will get taken down as BTR claims control. Inko with one of the best positions in the lobby, knocked out just like that. Duxan takes that eastern rotate, gets into the field, realizing that this might move away from the compound, at least definitely in zone 9. They just need to survive. Taking down DX would be the big thing. They've got the main sight lines over their way, and can Duxan reactivate into this game? QX gets an initial decent knock, but not likely to be long for this world now.
Oh, QX gone for good as Satar strikes against him and punishes Parajin as well, adding more pressure onto the star players from Duxan as Juni gets slapped in the face by Parajin's Mini 14 as he inflicts some maximum damage. And they're just holding on this one, knowing that they're in a good position to coast from this final fight. Going to be absolutely delicious. The 3 squads that are also closely grouped here with Duxan, Inko and Co as well. They're just playing around their building. Nigma Galaxy rather, as they're the ones right underneath the noses of BTR. And Parajin still wants to hard commit to this. He knew he got the knockoff, but isn't content with that. He wants to finish Juni, and we'll find it. Goodbye for good Duxan, as they will not be getting the repeat, Blank. It's only the 1 chicken dinner as we're left with the final 3.
Nigma Galaxy's game is on the line here for them. If they can get themselves a chicken dinner off this map, a few more elimination points, potentially they're in the running. For BTR and DX, this is all about claiming control over towards those top